Welcome to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome inside the KDKA studios for this Extra Point following the Steelers' 10th win of the season. Bob Pompeani, along with Chris Hoke, and we are here, and we are going to get you started with a bunch of stuff going on. Let's go live right now to Russell Wilson, who is speaking at Acrisure Stadium.
Job of giving us some turnovers when Keanu got that interception. That was a huge play, and then we go answer, and then I think TJ and Cam and all those guys just did a great job. Alex being back in there, and then offensively, I thought our offensive line did a tremendous job, especially when we got to the second half. We were able to get some real good runs in there and get some big first downs. We went tempo. I thought Arthur Smith did a great job of getting us into plays and getting us into situations as well. And we just took advantage of some of the looks that we had. And they did a good job. Just kind of stopping us. We, had some stuff there early and felt like we weren't hitting it as much. And we just, they made some plays. They made some plays early, but I thought that that's an interesting ringtone right there, brother. You got the train ringtone. I thought that we did a really good job of responding, and I think that's what we've done all year throughout the season.
Russ, your running today, was that just taking also advantage of opportunities, or was that something?
Yeah, I think that it was it was something that they were crowding the box and all that kind of stuff, and we had the run that I pulled in on the third down and short. I think it was 3rd and 2 or something like that. Arthur got us to the line. We had a call there, and Miles went down. I ended up pulling it. I tried to cut back and didn't know what was behind me necessarily, so I went down, slid, and just got the first down. And I think down in the red zone, we tried to get the ball to Pat, and they jumped it. So, I was going to throw it, but it wasn't there. So just kind of took off, tried to get the first down there, and then we scored, I think, the following play or whatever it was. So those are good things. Obviously, I think that my biggest goal always is to get the ball to the right guy at the right time, and also to use my legs when necessary, obviously. And I still feel ready to run and get things done when I need to.
What were they doing early that was taking away whatever you might want to do? Were they taking away the middle of the field, and how did you solve all that? What did you do later?
To be honest with you, I think we just got a little bit crisper. We got a little bit better. I think that it felt like the first half was just both sides of the ball was just kind of, but both teams, was just kind of, the game had to kind of get started a little bit sometimes. That's just, you can't panic in those situations. It's a fourth quarter game for a reason. It's always great when you score in the first quarter and you score multiple times, but if not, let's just score in the second and third and fourth, and let's find a way. We got the best kicker in the world. He had a huge field goal. We got, we drove down the field. Mike made the great catch, I think, a couple plays, and got in field goal range, and I know that was, I think it was 3rd and long. Mike ran an out route, and we hit him to get in the field goal range. That was a big field goal, and then we kind of got hot in the second half. We just came out and just really executed our offense, executed what Arthur wanted us to get to, and I thought that was a good thing. And it was cool to see Van get in the end zone on that play. We went up tempo on that, and then also too, the one later too as well. We hit with big Pat up the seam, so that was a great job. And I think I got to give credit to Arthur, all the stuff we were able to do. I think that a lot of it is, spending time on, film study and what we can see and what we like. And, I think, Pat did a great job at running up the seam. We had a little bit different concept earlier in the week, and we just adjusted it later in the week. And I was like, hey, man, if he runs that seam, he may be wide open. We talked about that. And just those little Friday meetings help, And so we're always working. We're always trying to find ways to score. And I think when you got a complete team effort, it always helps.
Yeah, they needed a complete team effort here. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke back with you. Russell Wilson, I'll say this about the Steelers. They were a little sluggish early in this football game, but boy, they jumped on opportunities. Dustin Hopkins missed a field goal. They immediately respond. Russell Wilson led them down the field, and it was Najee Harris with a touchdown. And then later, after Landon Roberts blew up a 4th and 1, again, they moved right down the field, Chris, and they turned out to be a touchdown. That's the one that Wilson was talking about, the Pat Freiermuth, who was targeted 3 times today, made all 3 catches for 48 yards and a touchdown. Good to see him more involved. But overall, Russell Wilson doesn't panic in these situations, did not have big numbers at halftime, but came out in the 3rd quarter when they seemed to be dominant.
And you're seeing why Coach Tomlin switched over to Russ Wilson, because he doesn't panic. He's been there, done that kind of guy. He's seen these things before. He comes out. The Browns, you got to give him a lot of credit. They came out playing tough defense. Very, very difficult for the Steelers' offensive line to protect Wilson. He seemed like he was running a lot under duress. He had to throw the ball away a lot, too. half. The second half, he kept putting the pressure on the Browns defense. In the second half, he was 7 for 10 for 112 yards, pretty double the yardage that he had in the first half, and much more efficient. And that's kind of got the veteran leadership, the veteran kind of guy that Russ Wilson is, that Coach Tomlin really likes.
Conversely, Jameis Winston, we saw last week in Denver, throw a lot of touchdown passes and pick six. He's good for a couple of bad throws, and I thought, although I'm going to credit Keanu Benton, the Steelers were kind of slugging along. They're not doing much. They needed a wake-up call, and boy, did he come up with an interception. Made a nice read on that play, got the interception, and all of a sudden, I think that woke everyone up in that stadium, including his own team.
It was huge. Let me tell you something. Before that, the Steelers had the ball 5 times, and 4 of those 5 possessions were 3 and outs. They had the one drive that was a field goal. Keanu Benton, this is why it's so huge and why the Steelers are 10-3 right now, Bob, because the defense, when they get takeaways, it changed the momentum of games. And in this takeaway, after the Steelers went on and scored 4 drives in a row, they had that little small one at the end of the first half, I won't count that, but 4 meaningful drives in a row, the Steelers scored 2 field goals, 2 touchdowns. That changed the game. A turnover completely changes the momentum, completely changes everything about a game. Keanu Benton, individual effort, was released by the lineman, turned around to the ball. A quarterback very rarely, Bob, can see a defensive lineman turn and run to the ball. He did not expect for Keanu Benton to be there.
Right. The other thing is you have a kicker like Boswell versus Hopkins. A lot of guys have struggled in the kicking game. The Steelers aren't one of those teams, and it does pay dividends. We have a lot more coming up. We're going to take you inside that locker room, and we're going to have a breakdown of this game in case you missed it. In terms of the scoring summaries, 27-14. Your final score, and the Browns still have not swept the Steelers in the season series in 36 years. That trend continues. The Steelers are 10-3. We'll break it all down next as we continue live right here with a Ford Extra Point Show on KDKA TV.
Welcome back to the Ford Steelers Extra Point. The Ford F-150 is the official truck of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the best-selling truck in Pittsburgh.
All right, welcome back. The Steelers now 10 wins, 3 losses. That's third in the AFC behind only Kansas City and Buffalo. How'd they get there? Well, let's take a look at the scoring summary because, again, kind of a slow starting game here for the Steelers, who scored first on a Chris Boswell 32-yard field goal. But then right up the middle of the field, Jerry Jeudy, a 35-yard touchdown reception from Jameis Winston to make it 7-3. They had the lead. But after that, as I said, they missed the field goal. What happens? The Steelers move right down. Najee Harris, 1-yard score. And everything turned around. That made it 10-7. They had another 54-yard field goal by Boswell. And then all of a sudden, things changed in the third quarter. Their defense is good. They don't give up much of anything, just 16 points all season long. Jefferson, 10-yard touchdown. Freiermuth, 20-yard touchdown, again after a 4th-and-1 stop by Landon Roberts. And Njoku got one late, but that didn't matter. 27-14 is your final score. There were some injuries. Ogunjobi left the game. Mike Tomlin will address the media right now and tell you about the injuries and his thoughts on this 10th win of the season. Let's go to Acrisure Stadium.
You know, first I just want to say congratulations to the Hall of Honor honorees, Dick LeBeau, Willie Parker, Jason Gilden, Casey Hampton. And I had an opportunity and the blessing to work with 3 of those 4 men. Obviously, I've known Jason since I've been here, and they're so deserving of the honor. And I'm glad that we were able to do our part in terms of making this a really good weekend for them. They're deserving of that. And so just want to tip the cap to those guys. Appreciative of the efforts in game. It didn't start off the way we would like in terms of fluidity. We weren't converting 3rd downs there early on. But the guys found their traction. I appreciate the defense providing some short fields and some splash in the effort to kind of get us going. It's a team game in that way. And then obviously the special teams with a splash play down the stretch to get us out of the stadium. And that's what teams do. They make plays in all 3 phases. They uplift one another. When a certain component of it isn't rolling as smoothly as you'd like. Thankful for the win. It's AFC North football. And we'll take it and keep moving. On the injury front, man, we had a bunch of bumps and bruises associated with play. I think the only thing that's really worth mentioning at this point is Larry Ogunjobi went out with a groin in the first half or so, maybe second quarter, and he wasn't able to return. I have an update on Tuesday for you guys regarding some of those other ones. GP, was listed as questionable. We didn't feel like he was going to be able to play the type of number of snaps that we thought would be worth putting him in a uniform, to be quite honest with you. We didn't want a small problem to become a big problem, and so we put a helmet on Scotty Miller, and as you can see, Most of the time when you put the helmets on the healthy guys, man, they take care of the rest. Scotty made some plays for us, and thankful for that. That's another example of the team component of this game, man. You can waste a lot of time worried about the guys that are unavailable to you. We choose to focus our energies on the guys that are available to us, their preparedness, and then ultimately their play. Tip of the cap to Scotty Miller, man, stepping up and making some big plays for us. I'll pause and open it up for questions.
Big catch from Mike Williams, too. Without George, what did you find out about your passing game or your receivers without him?
You know, it's what we've been kind of discovering or rediscovering throughout every component of this process. You know, you guys were asking us about our lack of, quote unquote, a number two in team development. And the guys made plays. Whoever we throw the ball to makes plays. The strength of the pack is the pack. We got a bunch of guys that want to be the reasons why we're successful. And when given an opportunity, I think they continually prove that, whether it's Scotty or Mike or Calvin or whoever, Van. We believe in our group. I know I've said that to you guys repeatedly. Maybe you'll start believing me.
Mike, you said that obviously the defense set up the offense a little bit, but what led to its better fluidity, do you think, in the second half?
I think just settling down and getting a feel for maybe how they were playing us. Sometimes it's that component of it, man. Jim Schwartz has been around a long time. He's a savvy coordinator. He did some nice things schematically.
Do you think that they changed it all with George not out there, how they replayed you? Could you tell?
You'd have to ask them that.
Coach, you've mentored a lot of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You mentored a lot of younger players, and I talked with Joe Hayden about that recently. And it looks like the younger players like B.D. Bishop, number 15, and Nick Herbig, they're starting to respond to the next man up, mentorship from you. What's your take on that?
They're capable people. I don't want to absorb any of the credit that they deserve, man. I hadn't made a football play in a long, long time. Most of those guys you mentioned made plays today, man. They're deserving of the credit. They work hard. They prepare themselves. They're not intimidated by the environment, although they lack experience. And I think that's the key ingredient.
Specifically, what were your points of emphasis operationally to stop the long drives that you had been giving up on defense in this particular game? You didn't give them up.
I don't know that we've been giving up a whole bunch of long drives. I disagree with you there.
Coach, what would you say about the defense and Keanu Benton? That interception that he had was a turning point, I thought, for the offense to get the offense going.
You know, sometimes when you're struggling a little bit to gain some traction, man, the short field will get you going. Man, can't say enough about that play. KB is a young guy that's evolving in a big way, and I just think that play is an example of it.
Mike, can you speak to the value of Russell?
All right, that's Mike Tomlin. Larry Ogunjobi with an injury. We'll see how that goes as the week goes on. But the strength of the pack is the pack, and he's talking about these receivers. Russell Wilson was only 15 of 26, that's it. But of those 15 completions, 8 of them went to different players, not named George Pickens. I will say this, without Pickens in the lineup, you can tell a difference. And, I mean, his contract leverage probably went up after a game like this.
Yeah, the contract leverage went up, but then you look at all the antics after post-play and all those things, that kind of brings it back down and cools it off. But the reality is, George Pickens has 850 yards this season. He's a game changer when it comes to his athletic ability and his playmakeability. But when you look at this right now, he opens up opportunities for other people too, because you've got to bring a safety over the top. You got to clamp down on him, and it makes advantageous opportunities for other receivers, including Pat Freiermuth, even though Freiermuth had a great game today. But when you talk about George Pickens and his impact on the game, it's not only the playmakeability, but it's what he does for the other guys.
Yeah, we're going to hear from Pat Freiermuth coming up. Targeted 3 times, made all 3 catches, big 21-yard touchdown. Mike Williams even got in the action today. We'll do that when we continue. Also, you're going to hear from Cam Heyward, who continues to add all these credentials to what will be a Hall of Fame career. Man, the guy just keeps on going and going. 27-14 your final score. Steelers are 10-3, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
All right, welcome back. Pat Freiermuth continues to get better and better as this season goes on. As I said, 3 targets today, 3 catches, including a big touchdown that was almost like a dagger kind of play against the Browns. He spoke after the game. Let's take you inside that locker room.
To set up the TD, man. Just because, it was still kind of a close game, and just being able to convert on that, we were able to not allow them to be on a short field, and then we were able to score a point. So probably a conversion on 3rd down for sure.
Seems like they're looking to the middle of the field more for you.
Yeah.
Why? What's going on?
It's fun. I feel like I'm a pretty good player, and, when they target me, it's like I make some plays, so absolutely.
Is that interception kind of like maybe sparked this offense?
You said
Benton's interception. You guys had a little slow start.
Whose interception?
Benton. Keanu Benton.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought you said Ben. I was like, what? Oh, yeah, man, that was a hell of a play. I thought it was PQ at first, and then I saw KB, rumbling and stumbling down there, and it was awesome, man. I'm super happy for him. Hell of a play.
You talk about complimentary football each and every week. I mean, why are you guys able to do this?
We just, the defense and the offensive side of the ball is close. The whole special team, everyone's just close, and so we fight for each other, and it's been awesome. And so we pick each other up when we need it. We were stalling early. The defense picked us up, and then we were scoring points. And the defense still picked us up, so it was great.
Was the punt spontaneous?
The what?
Was it spontaneous, or did you plan to do that after you scored?
Oh, the punt? No, I said if I scored in the game, I was going to punt it. It was a pretty good punt. I was a punter in high school. It was a pretty good punt. It was good. I had great hang. I went to the second level.
Did you have fun when George did it last week?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that.
You're gonna be a little.
Someone had to get fined. Someone had to get fined.
What did you guys learn about your offense being able to still hold up 27?
All right, so Muth not only had those numbers, he also had a very nice punt that went into the second deck with some hang time. How about that? So Mike Tomlin, Danny Smith is probably paying attention to that. Say, okay, in an emergency situation, let's get this guy in, but he will get fined for it. But overall, they're working him in more and more. That's his 5th touchdown reception of the season, and he's making a big mark in the middle of the field.
Well, that's the Russ Wilson effect, right? When we look back earlier in the year, Pat Freiermuth had very limited yards, and now that Russ Wilson comes in, he's distributing the ball. Pompey, look at it. Last week, Russ Wilson distributed the ball to 10 different players, 10 different receivers. This week, 7 or 8 different receivers. He's getting the ball around, and Pat Freiermuth is benefiting from that. Last week, 6 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown. This week, 3 catches on 3 targets for 48 yards and a touchdown. That was a beautiful throw down the seam. Great catch by Freiermuth. He really is showing why he signed that big contract in training camp.
No question about that, but as you heard Mike Tomlin say, when somebody goes out, somebody comes in, and that guy who came in today was Mike Williams, and he hadn't made a catch since that game winner in Washington. Well, he had 4 targets today for 3 catches. Let's hear what he had to say.
This game was the only opportunity that I had since the first game. So yeah, looking forward to the rest of this season. We're gonna watch the film, build off this, and get better.
After this, are you hoping to get more opportunities out there?
I mean, as a receiver, you want the ball. But for me, I just go out there and do my job. That's the main thing, Whatever the play is, whatever my job is do that. And if you watch the film and you see good results, you can live with it.
Do you feel like, I know you've only been here a few weeks, do you feel like something special, Atlanta was just talking about, is going on here in the stretch run? How important December football is?
Hell yeah. I done been on sides where, we get in tough moments, close games, and they don't go our way. But I feel like for us, since I've been here, I feel like we're going to win every game. So yeah, I feel like as a complete team, though, special teams, defense and offense, I feel like we all lean on each other and make things happen.
Did you know or have an idea that you had more of an experience role once you?
Oh, I found out when everybody else found out. Yeah, we thought he was going to show up and be able to play today, so we all was kind of expecting him to play, but he showed up. But we all kind of prepared throughout the week to where if any situation happened, we don't know who's going to be up, who's going to be down. So we kind of always prepared for everybody to play different positions.
So that was Mike Williams. The thing I like about him, Chris, is that never once during this whole process of being here did he say anything about not getting targets, not getting playing time. He just was happy he was on a winning team coming from what he was in the Jets. So I think that resonates with a lot of players. He doesn't have any sort of, quote, diva mentality there.
Well, think about it. You come from a 3-10 Jets team, right? They're 3-10 after today. Dysfunctional, right? You come to a Steelers, very stable, 10-3, have a legit shot to get into playoffs and make a run. Yeah, you want to get on the field, but you understand it. Coach Tomlin always talks about it's hard to get on a moving train, right? He comes in today when you have some injuries, when you have guys down, 3 catches, 38 yards, and it's a serviceable day. And opportunities will come. They have a good group of receivers, Bob, and these receivers, they're going to be ready to play because they can step up. They're veteran guys. Scotty Miller, they can step in and play when the opportunity calls. So let's go. We got January ball, and you hopefully have a game in February. You're going to need a big group of these receivers to step up.
The catch one that Mike Williams made was a beauty, a spinning one-handed catch. It was a big one, and so was the Scotty Miller one. On a 3rd and 8, he got both feet down and did a very good job in those situations. All right, we'll take a break. We have more post-game reaction. Rich Walsh is in that locker room for us. You're going to hear from some of the players. players, and eventually we're going to take your phone calls as well. So stick with us until 6 o'clock right here live on KDKA TV.
Welcome back to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
All right, we continue taking a look now at our leading tacklers today. Deshaun Elliott, man, one of the most under-the-radar signings I think you could have made. Omar Khan and company did a very good job locating him, signing him to a 2-year deal. Patrick Queen getting better as the year goes on. You see at the bottom of the list there is Cam Heyward. He had 5 total, 3 solo, but 2 tackles for losses and 2 more sacks. He spoke after the game.
Bites.
You know, we got turnovers. I thought Keanu's interception was big. Obviously, JP's interception. You know, surrendering 14 points is always huge. And, you know, I know they got some yards there in the second half, but I thought it was a good job of just early on the touchdown they had. Jameis, you know, went up the middle, got a big completion. But other than that, I thought we did a pretty good job of bottling up, not letting the extended plays beat us.
What adjustments did you have to make to keep those escape lanes closed out after that point?
You know, I think it was, you know, a coordinated rush, you know, outsides, not getting too far afield, you know, the inside pressure, you know, understanding you might have 2 gaps instead of 1. You know, that's all got to be talked about. You got to run coordinated games along with it. I thought we did a pretty good job of that today.
Cam, is Keanu showing off a game ball in there, or
game ball? It's just 1 interception. If that's the case, you know, I'm waiting on mine. I've never got one for that, but you know, a heck of a play. Great awareness. You know, just to track it down the line. It wasn't like it was, you know, popped in the air or anything, but can't say enough about the kid. He works his tail off, and I know he wants big plays all the time, but, you know, it was a big play for us in this game, and luckily to have that kid on our sideline.
Yeah, how did you balance knowing the way they threw the ball last week, but always knowing you want to and have to stop Nick Chubb?
It starts with Mr. Chubb, and we have a lot of respect for what he's done. And so, you know, going to the game, you have to constantly think about him before you can even get to the pass. You know, but we've seen in the weeks, you know, the past couple weeks, Jameis has been on fire, you know, having, 500 yards, I think, passing last week. So for us, it's, you know, you got to stop the run early, and then, you know, make sure it's tougher long down and distance, so they can't just, you know, throw it quickly to Njoku, because he's been a great key for them on quick passes.
Yeah, Cam Heyward's right there. They shut down Chubb to the tune of 48 yards, 428. Take a look at what Cam did. Man, this is a Hall of Fame resume that continues to add on every year. I think he's been, since he turned 30, which is unusual in sports, Chris. I mean, the guy has gotten as good, if not better, than he was from 25 to 30.
Yeah, well, listen, remember all the talk about signing Heyward during the preseason and in the offseason? Reality was he knew that when he's healthy, he can produce. 7 sacks this year, 2 sacks today, and 2 tackles for a loss. He continues to dominate the middle. It's not just what he does on the field, Bob, that's so impressive. It's what he does in the locker room, the impression and the influence that he has on these younger players like a Keanu Benton. Keanu Benton, I know what Coach Tomlin does. Coach Tomlin sits in that team meeting room, and what he says to the young fellas is, hey, if you want to be in the league 10 plus years, watch Cam Heyward. Do what he does. And to have guys like Cam Heyward that you can point to. When I played, it was James Ferrier, it was Aaron Smith, and those kind of guys. You could point to him and say, be like him, you'll be around here. That elevates everybody's game and makes you a better team.
There's no question about that. And a guy like Cam Heyward has a big impact on Keanu Benton, who had that big interception, although Cam doesn't think he deserved a game ball. He did get an opportunity to speak afterwards. Let's hear from him.
I've had it in my bag a long time. It just didn't get used like it did today. So
you have a resume of picks?
Yeah, I'm really ball. No, I have a resume of being ball aware and filling when it's screen. So
ever have an interception?
In high school, not in college or the league yet until today.
As a nose tackle?
As a nose tackle, yeah.
This defense making splash plays like that. You guys seem to do it every single week to kind of split the offense.
Yeah, I feel like everybody had their turn, and you never know when it's going to come. So we just make sure we stay high energy through the ups and downs and not get too high, not get too low, and it allows for those plays.
Was the biggest thing pressure for Jameson today for you guys?
Yeah, definitely keeping him in the pocket. I feel like last game we let him out of the pocket a little too much for our liking, and today we had to keep him in.
What did you see on the play? Was that something you read or something you saw on film?
Usually the guys across from you are supposed to block you, And when it's screen, they don't. So you find the ball, or you find the running back or whoever they're throwing it to, and he threw it up.
Now you just have to work on your stiff arm?
Yeah. I just had to get the ball, get down, and make sure it was secure.
He did a pretty good job, and if you'll recall, that was a very big play in this game because the Steeler offense had done not a lot of anything. 10 minutes into the second quarter, there were 8 combined punts in this game, so it was back and forth, not much happening, and that woke up not only the stadium, but it woke up the Steelers offense, and they moved right down, take advantage of that, and that was a huge play for that young guy.
And when we think about it, there was a third down, there was a PI, they would have had to kick a field goal, but they went ahead and they went down and scored on a 1-yard run by Najee Harris, but that flipped the field as well. You think about it, before that takeaway, the Steelers kept getting the ball deep in their territory. Now they get the ball on the Browns' 31-yard line to go in and score, and that's exactly what they did. But let me tell you what Keanu Benton talked about. As a defensive lineman, Bob, you're taught that if an offensive lineman lets you go, they're not just going to let you go. If an offensive lineman lets you go, you know it's a screen. You turn and run to the ball, and you look for a running back, and he looked to his left. There was Nick Chubb. He just went. Jameis Winston, a quarterback, does not think that you're going to turn and run to the ball like that and get in the throwing lane. And also, that's why you turn and run, because also if they catches the ball, you can strip that ball. A lot of running backs will give the ball up and pop it up because you're turning and running to the ball. So great individual effort by Keanu Benton.
They talk a lot about film study, and it does show up on plays like that. I think that's a great breakdown you had on what happened on that play. All right, another guy who made some plays right off the bat, Watt with a 5-yard tackle for loss, and there was Alex Highsmith in Cleveland's first possession who got a sack right off the bat. Let's hear from Alex Highsmith after the game.
Just analyzing the film from the first game and just seeing ways that we weren't detailed enough, seeing, there's plays out there to be made that we didn't make. So just really honing in on the details throughout the whole week. And once again, AC North football, so there's an extra added intensity to it.
You guys really unleashed that 3 outside linebacker package. What you guys kind of see that allowed you to use it, and how did that affect kind of you guys moving around, moving TJ around, doing different things?
Yeah, I mean, I think we did a good job of putting them in a lot of third and long situations, and whenever it's most of the time they're passing on 3rd and long, and so that gives us the ability to be able to get that package out there. And so we just got a bunch of dogs on our front, and so like I said, I'm just happy to be back and rolling with the guys.
Alex, what is it with this defense being so opportunistic, coming up with those key plays that kind of spark the offense or whatever it is to turn things around?
Yeah,
like today, Benton's
yeah. I think it's just our culture. We do a good job throughout the week of practicing, taking the ball away, practicing those things, and so it's just a culture we have, and everyone wants to get in on it, and so just like I said, we got a bunch of playmakers on this defense, and just going to continue to make plays.
Yeah, they lead the NFL in takeaways, and you always got double trouble to worry about Watt and Highsmith. Even though TJ, got a tackle for loss. No sacks to talk about. Jack Conklin does a pretty good job on him, but he's also very involved in the run game. He's good at, especially, tracking guys down from behind.
He does a good job from the backside, right? He comes flying down the line and makes a lot of tackles from that backside position, and that was how he got in that TFL. He's so quick off the ball, Bob, that when an offensive lineman steps inside and then tries to kick out, they can't get out there quick enough because of his ability to get off the ball so fast. But Conklin does do a good job against TJ Watt. That's 2 games in a row in the last 3 weeks against Conklin where he has not had an impact in the passing game, and so he's got to figure out. And he's really an avid film watcher. He'll figure that out in the offseason. You'll watch next time they play Conklin, he'll have an opportunity to take advantage of him because he'll figure out a winning edge.
Steelers get to 10-3, and next up, 3 really big games. We've talked about this since the preseason. 3 games basically in 10 or 11 days, and how they handle that will determine a lot as they move forward. But right now, 10-3, sitting atop the AFC North. We'll continue with our postgame coverage of the Steelers win today as nightfall has taken over Acrisure Stadium. Good night, Browns. They leave with a loss. 27-14 your final score. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
Now it's time for the McClellan's Contracting and Roofing final stats. And a slow start, not overwhelming stats by any stretch of the imagination, but the big thing were turnovers.
Yeah, turnovers are big, right? The Steelers were +2 in this game, took the ball away 3 times, including that dropped punt return. And but what stands out to me right here, Bob, is that 3rd downs. Look at that. 2 for 13, 15%. That's pretty much failure by the Browns on 3rd down. You just can't sustain drives. You can't score points when you have that kind of 3rd down at work there. Not very good.
No, that's the key for the Steelers. Take the ball away and, don't give a team another opportunity. Some of these teams in the AFC North have done that. Yep. they've allowed the Steelers to be in games by making mistakes. Yeah. All right, one of the big plays of this game was the end of a touchdown drive, and it was Russell Wilson with an RPO. He had options. He chose to go to Van Jefferson. His one and only catch of the day was for 10 yards and a score, and a big one. Let's hear from Van Jefferson after the game.
I always want him out there, but, I think our mindset was just going out there and making plays and, next man up. So that was our mentality.
What does it say about this group of receivers that you guys were able to respond in that way without them?
Yeah, it means a lot. It speaks a lot. Z always has us prepared, always telling us you never know what's, in the flow of a game, what can happen. Just like, I think week 3 I got poked in the eye. Scotty had to come in and did a great job. So you just never know what's going to happen throughout a game. And, we just wanted to step up, and, I think we did a great job as that.
What did you guys switch up on offense at the half? It seemed to click a little bit more for you.
Yeah, I think we just started executing better. A lot of things that, that we're going to go back and look at that we thought we could do a lot better. But ultimately came out in the second half and did a great job.
Dan, do you feel like Ben's interception kind of sparked you guys a little bit? It seemed like things turned around after that point.
Yeah, I think, Ben does a great job at the gunner rep. And, obviously, that gave us momentum. And so when that happened, just kind of got the whole team excited. So, Ben make those plays a lot, and I know he's going to continue to do that.
But I was talking about the Keanu Benton interception.
Oh, Keanu Benton. I thought you said about Ben. Oh, I'm tripping.
We can talk about that one, too.
Yeah. That was great, too. Yeah, that was good by Keanu, too, as well. That gives the offense momentum. And, I know he was excited to get an interception. Those don't come often for that position, but, excited for him and a great play.
You feel like something special is going on here right now? What's it feel like here? Does everyone, even Atlanta was talking about, everyone talks about December football?
Yeah. Obviously, we want to continue to grow. And
all right, that's Van Jefferson after the game. Van, the man on that play, and he, like Mike Williams, been around a lot. He has a tie to Arthur Smith, and he comes in here, just knows his role. There's a lot to be said for guys who know their role, play their role, and do it when called upon. Only one target, but was a big one.
Role players, right? You have star players and you have role players. I was a role player. You just know when you step in, you got to produce, and that's what Van Jefferson does when the ball goes his way. Another thing he does really well, Bob, is he blocks downfield. That's why you've seen the running game really elevated in the last half of the season, is because the receivers are really getting out there on those DBs and they're blocking, and that's helping Jaylen Warren, that's helping Najee Harris as they get to the second level, be able to have some open field to run. So Van Jefferson, he's there blocking, Skoranek and him blocking receivers out there on the edge.
Yeah, one other shout out we should give is Jaylen Warren before we take a look at the schedule, because he was just dynamic again. Every time he gets the ball, he makes something happen. He refuses to go down, and he did that a lot today, and I think that energizes that offense as well, especially the offensive line. Now it's time for the Ford Road Ahead. Let's take a look at this one here coming up, and this is where it gets tough now. You have a game at Philly, you know how good they are, then at Baltimore, and then it's the Christmas Day game against Kansas City before the last game of the year. So look into that schedule. Chris, what do you see?
Man, what a final lap to the season, Bob. You look at it right here, and you've got three of the 4 are big-time games in a division game against the Bengals. To me, it's a toss-up in these games because these are the top-notch players. You go into Baltimore, right? Even though Baltimore's had a tough stretch in the last few weeks, it's always tough to win there.
All right, and by the way, the Kansas City-Pittsburgh game is on KDKA. No buffering here. You'll watch it live on Christmas Day. All right, now let's talk about the AFC North standings because they're very important. The Steelers would love to win the division. They'd also love to have the number 1 seed. You know, that Kansas City game could be that game. Who knows? They're 10-3 right now, 3-1 in the division. Ravens have 4 conference losses. The Steelers have only 2. That's a big one when it comes to tiebreakers. And you see the Bengals and Browns pretty much done. In fact, the Browns officially eliminated today.
Yeah, incredible, right? The Browns, people thought they'd be much better than this year. Deshaun Watson, they've just really struggled this season, and they need to regroup the Brownies way, right? But you look right now at the Steelers, I don't know if I can see the Steelers losing control of this division unless a total collapse. But here's what I'm hoping for, Bob. If you look down the road here, in 3 weeks from now against the Chiefs, I would love for the Steelers to be healthy, the Chiefs be healthy, and a heavyweight match here at Acrisure Stadium from Christmas Day.
With the number 1 seed potentially on the line, although Buffalo will have a say in that as well. Let's take a look at the AFC playoff picture, and you'll see what we're talking about. Right now, Kansas City, somehow, some way, listen, they know how to win, but they also, you have to admit, have been a little bit lucky in some of these outcomes. They're 11-1. Buffalo looks really good right now at 10-2. Josh Allen taking it to new heights. The Steelers right there. And then it's Houston at this point. You see the wild card. There are some teams that could edge up in. Miami won today. You saw that one here at the end of our game that they won in overtime. So interesting mix of teams.
And one other tidbit here is that I believe Kansas City went and lost in Buffalo this year, right? So Buffalo has that win there. So if Kansas City loses to the Steelers or loses one of the next 4 games and Buffalo runs the table, you have to go through Buffalo to get to the Super Bowl. Yeah. That's another big one.
That's absolutely a big one, the way they're playing. Their defense has been very good. All right, we have plenty more coming up, which includes your time to call us and air your opinions. It's a special edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We do that until 6 o'clock, so call 412-575-2600. It's a show we do every single night of the week, but we're doing it now after Steeler games as well. Call us. Let us know what you think about the Steelers' 27-14 win today to get to 10-3. For Chris Hoke, I'm Bob Pompeani. We'll shift gears and go into that next right here on KDKA.